It's okay? Radhe Radhe. Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Radha, Radha, Radha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's all right? Okay. Om Jnana-timirandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is October 25th, 2014, and the glorious Sevas of Srimati Radharani. We're discussing verse 15 of Vilavkusamanjali. We heard about the glories of Radhakund and the beauty of it, and how rare it is to attain residence. And in the Tika there's more descriptions about the beauty. There's so many wonderful trees here. Of course, and this beauty now is only in our minds and our hearts and meditation. So we read at one time, when the Acharyas were here 500 years ago, they could see all this beauty and directly perceive it with their senses. But now it's like we have to perceive it with our mental sense. We read about it. They were seeing it and writing about what they saw. And they're also meditating on it and entering into it. They saw with their sadhaka rup, with their practitioner's body, and they wrote about it. And they perceived it and saw it. And now they in their meditation, in their siddhaswarup as manjaris, then they're actually entering there and doing seva. So in these descriptions of the beauty, the physical external beauty of Radhakund, for us, we can't see it externally in our sadhaka rup because it's not there. So we're forced to pray to the mercy of, we prayed for the mercy of Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa Goswami, because they were here 500 years ago when everything was beautiful and natural, almost like when Krishna was here. So we can pray for those inner eyes, pray for the eyes of Smaran and the eyes of inner vision, to see what he saw with his eyes as a sadhaka, and to hear what he heard with his ears as a sadhaka, and to feel what he felt. But for us, we read about these descriptions in Govinda Lilamrita and Krishna Bhavanamrita, the incredible beauty of the trees and nature at Radhakund. And we only have to meditate. We can only close our eyes and see it all by inner vision, by the mind's eye and heart's eye. So to have that power of vision and have that perception, it requires practice and of course kripa, as we mentioned the other day. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it said one attains perfection by sadhu kripa and nam kripa, by the mercy of sadhus and by the holy name. Sadhus, of course, ultimately means guru, shiksha and diksha guru. But it said briefly, sadhu kripa and then nam kripa. So therefore we pray, please give me that inner vision so I can appreciate that at Radhakund there, as it's described here, Radhakund, the banks of Radhakund are very wonderful, with kadamba trees and champak, these are champak trees, and kunda and shirasa, ketaki and kimsuka trees, and lavanga, jati, yuti, and madhavi vines. Hardly I've ever seen in Braj these other vines. Lavanga means the cloves that we use in spices. I think it's maybe jatifal. And juti, well, juti means juhi, and this is madhavi. Madhavi is pretty prevalent in Braj. And then all about the parrots and the myna birds, and they're all singing sweet songs about Radhika Madhav. Nowadays, 500 years ago when Raghunath Das Goswami was here, the birds were happy. The birds were joyful. There was plenty of natural fauna and flora, and there's a natural habitat. So the birds and the animals, they were all very happy because there's plenty of food, plenty of fresh water, and no human beings. Very few. So when you're happy, then you sing, at least if you're a bird. And maybe you win also sometimes. So they heard it. They were sitting, like occasionally, very rarely, we hear some parrots or some birds singing joyfully. And you can tell it's joyful because we have birds living here in this kunja. And sometimes the eagle comes and to catch one, or a cat comes sneaking over the fence and gets his lunch. And then you hear the change in the tone of voice, the birds are distressed. So when we hear that, then myself and the chowkidar, we say, oh, red alert, go save the birds. So then we get our sticks and slingshots and chase away the cats or eagles. It's there, jivo jivasya jivanam. Every living entity has his quota for his food, so that's beyond our control. But at least we can show our mood of protecting the Vaishnavas. Because when devotees are in difficulty, other devotees come to their aid. So devotees in Braj take many, many forms in terms of trees and animals and birds. And we don't know who any of them are. So as we would protect a human being who was getting beaten, harassed, or what to speak of attacked by a predator or a demon, so in the same way we see Brajvasis, they protect all the animals and creatures of Braj. At least the ones that have some realization of who they're living with. This is an integrated environment which is integrated with all kinds of species of life, and a unique unifying principle of all these species of life here in Braj is that they're all God brothers and God sisters of a common Father, Krishna. So everyone's a devotee here. And those realized saints and Siddha Purushas of Vrindavan, of past and present, they write about that, they sing about it in Brajbhasha and Hindi, and they perceive, they talk to the trees, they have experiences. You can see in Braj Ke Bhakta by Obil Kapoor about how different Siddha saints of the past have had different interactions with great saints and devotees in the forms of birds and trees, etc. So we're a little dull and we can't perceive the imperceptible level of devotion that's being exhibited by the various creatures here. But we can accept the viewpoint. So therefore that's why at least we can think, oh, they're living entities in distress, be it a bird or sometimes eagle comes and takes a squirrel, and the squirrels start making this funny alert sound. So he's hearing all this beautiful singing, and he's appreciating how they're all glorifying Radha and Krishna in their own sweet ways. And what about the water of Radhakund? Now you see the water of Radhakund, and with mundane eyes you see mundane water. With spiritual eyes you see spiritual water. But 500 years ago, when Das Goswami was here, he could see what he's writing about. The Radhakund and Shamakund were very sweet. Why were they sweet? Because the water was being sprinkled with so much nectar from lotus flowers in the Radhakund, blowing here and there, which he saw. And that's why he says, this is a description of, I came, I saw, I surrendered. Veni, I wrote that on my Facebook as a takeoff on Caesar. Veni Vedi Sharanagati. Veni Vedi Sharanagati, because he was a great conqueror of this mundane material world of mlechas and yavanas and Gnostics, at least in terms of personal concept of God. But he went around the world and he said, I came to this Greece or any country, I saw and I conquered. So I came to Vrindavan, I saw Vrindavan, I surrendered. Veni Vedi Viki, Sharanagati. So this, he's seeing all this wonderful sights, and as soon as he saw it all, and that's what verse 15 it says in Vilakrusamanjali, as soon as I saw and perceived the incredible beauty of Radhakund, I surrendered. To whom? To the Ishwari of Radhakund, Radhakund Ishwari Radharani. And he said, at that moment, I said, oh, Taveva Dasya Rase. I seeing all this, and how all these flowers are relishing your Dasya Ras, and all this water is relishing, and everyone here is relishing the sweet taste of serving your Swamini's lotus feet. and your lotus feet. I don't want to be excluded. Count me in too. I also want to be one of those tasters of Dasya Ras as your Dasika. And so that's how he ends the verse. He says, Tadeva mama lalasara jani taveva Dasya Rase. My lalasa, my mind is full of lalasa, is full of intense hankering, eagerness to experience, like all the other residents of Vrindavan, to experience the sweet ras and sweet flavor of service of your lotus feet. So that's now what he saw, because he says, when my eyes, when I first saw your pond, which was filled with water and surrounded by humming bees. So in the Tika, that's giving us more idea of what he saw and what he perceived. And those devotees, when they have property, they come to Vrindavan or Radhakund, they buy some property, they try to, those that are in a mood of bhajan and not prachar, devotees that are in a mood of prachar, they buy property and fill it up with buildings and lecture halls and kirtan halls, and that's their seva to Radharani. But other devotees that want to do bhajan or writing, then they try to make a kunja, as the previous devotees of Braj, everywhere Raman Reti. When I first came to Raman Reti in 77 and wandered around, there were all big walls everywhere. And inside those walls were 3 or 4 sadhus. And the walls, this is 600 square yards, but the average size of property at Raman Reti, ISKCON area, was about 2,000 to 3,000 yards, almost half an acre, quite large. Where the Vrindavan Sodastan, we call Vrindavan Research Institute. There's ISKCON, then there's Gauranga Das Babaji's ashram, and then there's this place, looks like a school or something, on the left-hand side going towards Lai Bazaar. That was an ashram of 5 Babas, and one of them was a Siddha Baba, Balaram Das Babaji. And they donated that to this Ban Maharaj, Prabhupada's godbrother, and it's a long history, and he made a library and nice things there. But wandering in and out of those ashrams, which had walls and gates which were always open, you would say, oh, what's in here? Then it's just gardens and trees, and you meet the Babas there and say, what? Oh, so much land. What is this? What is this circle? All these bricks you made a circle. Oh, that's the Ras Mandal for Priya Priyatam, for Swamini and Sham. And see this tree, this is a Kadamba tree, and I planted this Kadamba tree next to a Tamal tree, so then they grow together, Yugal bricks. So the sadhus who lived here 100 years ago, 200 years ago, if they were given a piece of land by Radharani, Ishri Radha, Vrindavan Ishri, they thought, it's her land. She's given it to me as her caretaker. It's for her seva, and it's for her seva of her Swamaju, Shamaju. And that's why it was like that. That was the mentality. Then, of course, over time, Vrindavan changed to become a major public access tirtha, and many gurus and Ramanandi sadhus and Rambhaktas and Hanuman. So many came from Ayodhya due to disturbance there. And they settled up here with the big ashrams. But you see, the Goswamis, they built a big place they arranged to build a big temple for Krishna, and they lived in some kunja. And even then, whenever the old temples, they would have huge flower gardens. Like this whole Madhavan colony area was all part of the flower gardens, the land and flower gardens, and much of it still is. But maybe it's taken up by Prem Mandir now. But it was all the personal flower gardens of Banki Bihari. So they would come out there to Madhavan colony and collect all the flowers. There's a big wall around it. So you see many of the old properties either belonged to deities, which was their lila stali for the temple deities and their flower kunjas, or they were babas. So nowadays, if people are in that mood of bhajan, when they get a piece of land, they plant a tamal tree next to a kadamba tree, and they plant all kinds of juhi and gulab and all champak and all the things that are in Krishna's land as much as they can. And with the hope and intention that Radha and Krishna will come to this kunj, this Seva kunj, and perform their lila here. And then someday they'll give me the eyes to see it. So that's how the Babajis and the devotees used to live in Radhakund, the Bhajanandi sadhus who had a fixed residence. Many would wander everywhere, here and there doing Madhukari. There's Madhukari and Paribrajak. So the Madhukari wanders and begs mercy and kripa. And the paribrajak wanders and gives kripa. They're both wandering. One's giving kripa and one's collecting kripa from Brijvasis, the sweetness. Madhukari means to move and collect sweetness. Madhukari. So you get sweetness from the bhav of the Brijvasis, and it comes in the form of their chach and roti. It seems sour in the onset. Chach, or buttermilk appears to be sour, but it's filled with the sweet rasa of the Braja Prema of the gopis. This was the conception of Madhukari. And of course, Madhukari is like a bee wandering from flower to flower. So this here is, we try to follow that line of thought and consciousness in what little... In other words, Swamini Radha gave us a small place to be a caretaker. And we had no money on our own. And as I said, one godbrother bought the land, and one Marwari friend in Delhi, who was with another sadhu, he built the place. So I hope that anyone who hears me that has land or is thinking of buying some land, they'll make a nice kunja for the Seva of Radha and Krishna. Because if you fill your whole land with a building, you can rest assured 100% that Radha and Krishna will definitely not come there and perform lila. Where's the kunjas? Where's the trees? Where's the flowers? How's Krishna going to pick flowers and make a malati garland? And he may come in disguise and listen to your pravachan or your kirtan. That's also there. But if you want to be a servant of lila, then you'll maybe make something like this. Oftentimes when I hear new people are coming and buying some land, I meet them and say, "What's your plan?" And they tell me, I say, because my Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, he said, especially in Radhakund, he said, Radhakund is a place for relishing. That was his own words. Because it was mentioned when the devotees in Krishna Balaram, they said they want to make a small temple out here, like the other small temples, Radha Govinda, etc. Prabhupada said, "What will you do out there? What's your idea?" And the disciples said, "Well, Prabhupada, we'll sell your books. We'll do Harinam Sankirtan and sell your books." And Prabhupada, what did Prabhupada say? No. Not there. Everywhere else, but not there. Radhakund is for relishing. Now, that means ras aswadana. In English, the word relish means ras aswadan, to aswadan, sadhu, to taste the ras of bhakti. So you can taste the ras of bhakti by preaching and by Nam Sankirtan, no doubt, when you're in a high state of consciousness, because bhakti is bhakti. But Prabhupada excluded those offerings of relish when they were presented. No, these two relish, not there. So now he leaves it open. So therefore, what type of bhakti ras relish is he intending? So then that's up to the individual to perceive. But I would believe it'd be the Nam, Rup, Lila, Nam, Rup, Guna, and Lila of Radha and Krishna, relish their Radhakund pastimes and all their pastimes as a Sevite. So this is, so he's praying like this in this verse, and I went to the wrong way. Yeah, so here in the commentary, for some reason, because it's interesting when you study Shastras when you read a book and you read a commentary, and you try to analyze how is this commentary connected to the verse, and what is the angle and realization that this commentator had to bring forth this spurti in his writing. Because oftentimes you look at it on surface value and it doesn't quite fit. Because here, what happens is we hear about two pastimes at Radhakund. So this means that's how it's called becoming tanmoy with the Shastras, becoming tadatmika, become one with the heart of the Shastras, become one with the devotees being described, become one with the scenery and the Premashraya and Premvishaya, and then try to understand what were they thinking, what were they seeing, what were they feeling, and then praying and chanting and doing lots of bhajan, and then if one is in a high state of consciousness, he gets vigyan and sportis, and he writes them down, and they're called Vishnu Chakravarti's tikas, and they're called Sanatana Goswami's tikas. So here, there's two pastimes, Jalkeli and then Lukaluki. These are two pastimes that happen in Madhyan Leela at Radhakund, Jalkeli and Lukaluki. Lukaluki means I looky for you and you looky for me. Means hide and seek. You hide, I close my eyes and count to 100, from 100 to 1. 100, 99, 98, 98, and then you run and hide somewhere. Then I have to find you, and then I'm looking. It's called, in Sanskrit or in Hindi, it's called Luka-Luki. And in Kamyavan, there's a famous kund there by Charan Bahari. In the valley from Charan Bahari, it's called Luka-Luki Kund. Many devotees must have been there. But this pastime goes on all over the place, especially at Radhakund. And because it's such a beautiful sporting mood, and it's so innocent and playful and joyful, and it's all part of Radha and Krishna's loving exchanges. So now the question is how these pastimes manifested in this tika, about this text 15. And then we could understand that in his Sadhaka Rup, he's describing, because I mentioned that Das Goswami, when he's writing these verses, sometimes he's in Sadhaka Rup, and which is his Bhaya Dasha, external consciousness. Sometimes he's in Antar Dasha, internal consciousness, identifying as Tulsi Manjari, Rati Manjari, and right there serving, holding on to Radharani's feet, painting them with lac dye, and then losing that. And sometimes he's in Ardha Bhaya, half external, half internal, and half external. So now this verse says, I came, I saw, I heard the birds, I saw the beauty, and then I consciously, in an awake consciousness, Bhaya Dasha, I thought, it's a beautiful place. Like sometimes you go to some beautiful place. I remember I was touring South India in 1985, alone, after I took sannyas, and all around Lord Chaitanya's places. I went to Adikeshwar Mandir, then Trivandrum. Then I went to a place called Varkala. Varkala is on the beach. It's a very secluded cove. There's like a cove there and a beach and very nice waves. And there's a temple there, Padmanabha, or some old deity, and then there's some phenomenon that out of some rocks there's some river, some lake coming out, some water coming out of some rocks that lead to the ocean. If you drink that water, you get free from your sins. It's called Papanashanam. Papanashanam. Papnashanam. Nash means to destroy. So I said, well, this sounds like a good place to go. So I went there. But then I discovered it's a very beautiful place. And I thought, oh, nice place to go to. So this is what he saw. He saw it's so beautiful, let me serve. So why now, as he sat there, as we often sit in Radhakund, and we're fully conscious, we're in Bhaya Dasha, and we're chanting, and then we start thinking, well, what time is it, and what pastime is going on? Well, this pastime. Then we close our eyes and close our ears, and we chant, and then all of a sudden, it can happen where we recall that pastime of Jalkeli, and then we're seeing that, and that then increases our desires to serve even more, because now we're seeing the pastime and we're meditating on. So that's one level. And then, of course, if one has his spiritual identity, then he'll say, well, now let me enter there. It's called Leela Pravesh. Let me enter into that pastime and render my service there. So that's why in the commentary is saying, okay, he sat there, he saw this, and he writes about it. I saw this beauty, I heard all this, and I really developed an intense desire to serve Radharani. Okay, well, anyone, maybe that would happen to them. If they're in a line of serving Radharani and they're hankering for that Radhadasyam and following Rag Marg, they come here, they say, oh, it's such a nice place. So now, because of who he is, then that external vision became internal, and then he had this experience, and that's why it's described here, that this pastime happens between 2 and 2:24, Jalkeli. And he suddenly perceived a very sweet pastime of Radha and Krishna playing in the water. And there's a contest, water splashing. And whoever loses the contest has to pay a wager. So then they had a referee and everything. So has to pay a wager to the winner. Kundalata is the referee, and the wager, what did they gamble? Krishna says, listen, if I win, if I outsplash you and you get defeated, then you have to pay me 100 kisses. And Radharani said, oh, that's not very good. And then Radharani said, well, what happens if I win and you lose? He said, then Krishna said, well, if I lose and you win the splashing contest, then I have to pay you 100 kisses. And she said, what kind of wager is this? What kind of sport is this? It seems to me the lose-lose proposition. If I lose, I have to kiss you, and if I win, I have to kiss you, and maybe I don't want to kiss you. First, let's establish that. Let's let the first wager be whoever wins, he decides what the wager is. So Krishna, immediately he's adjusting the game by setting the wagers, which were obviously completely to his favor. He's the first one that developed the concept of win-win in exchanges of people. I win and you lose, and I win and you lose. But it's all winning in the game of love, no doubt. So now it goes on. Radhika splashes Krishna, and how beautiful Radha's eyes are, how sweetly her bangles are jingling, and Krishna's garland of forest flowers and his big pearl necklace falls off, and his Kaustuba necklace cannot tolerate the volleys of water from Radharani's repeated splashing. But then Radharani's thinking, oh, I should spare the poor fellow. He's always saying, we're Abhala. Oh, you're Abhala. You're so weak. Your gopis are Abhala. But it appears in this water splashing game that Sham has become Abal. He's supposed to be Balaram and so strong and so powerful, Bala. But now, so then the Sakhis are saying, oh, my Shamasundar, he will suffer too much if I splash him in the eyes. So she doesn't do that, although Krishna splashes her in the eyes. Very, very hard. And he says, hey Priye, see if you can tolerate this. Right in her face. Because men tend to be a little cruel by nature, and women are usually a little more compassionate. So Radharani had some vichar. She was thinking, oh, I could also, now he's looking down, I could just boom, right in his face. But that's not very nice. But did Krishna think that way? No. He said, oh, now's the time. Because if I go like that, then she can't see that I can really douse her with water. But because this is Radhakund, Sri Kund, Krishna didn't get any support for that dirty pool, for that bad move. Because all the parrots in the trees and all the animals on the shore, they didn't approve of that. And it says nobody on the banks of Radhakund, not even the parrots in the tree, were singing the glories of Krishna. Actually, all the creatures of Braj felt very sorry for Radhika because she was so brutally splashed by Shamsundar. I didn't say brutally bashed, I said brutally splashed. Sometimes they write, someone was brutally beaten, or bashed. Bash means like, that would be a terrible thing to hear happen or have happen. But so, nobody's approving it. How beautiful are Swamini's eyes when Sham holds her around the neck. And they become slightly reddish from all the water. Although Radha's eyes are filled with water, she still keeps them wide open. That's why it says in the verse, he says, oh, sputat sarasi akshi. That's what's in the verse. He says, oh, your eyes are so wide open. So now the next game they play is hide and seek, which is a continuation of water splashing. So then, what happens here is when Sham goes to collect his wager of kisses from Swamini, Radha, he wants to know. So then, okay. So this is, it talks about Luka Luki. I mean, everyone's heard this. It's in Govinda Lilamrita also. So Radharani, when Krishna goes to kiss Radharani, then she keeps her eyes open. Krishna closes her eyes. and she keeps her eyes open, and she's looking at Krishna. Then he gets a little intoxicated and absent-minded from the kisses of Radharani. So then while he's like that, Radharani stops kissing him and dies underwater. And he's like, oh, he's kissing the sky because he's so bewildered by that Adar Amrita. It's called Prem Vimal. It's like he's in illusion. So he's stunned. So she takes advantage of his inattentiveness, and she dies under the water and goes and hides. It's being described. And another reason she went to hide, because she's Lajeshri. Radharani's very shy. And she felt shy that all her girlfriends were watching. If it was the Manjaris, it'd be okay, but Lita was there, and they were all watching as Krishna was kissing her, and she felt shy. So she said, I don't like this. So then she upped the nectar. She increased the nectar of her lips. She increased that intensity of her lips' nectar, so Krishna went temporarily unconscious and became inattentive. So then she got away so she could preserve her shyness and also increase the lila. So Radharani, she came up and she dove under the water, and she came up in one corner of Radhakund where they're all golden lotus flowers, and which are the same color as her face. And she could not be noticed. So then Krishna went to look for her. And the Sakhis were taunting Krishna, hey Sham, where's your Ishvari? Where's your Priyaji? Can you find her? And why don't you go look for her? So Krishna is not, he's Vidagdha Madhav. He's very clever. And he's very chaturi and intelligent, vidvan. So he was looking, where is Radharani? I don't see Radharani anywhere. Where's the sign of Radharani? How can someone know if Radharani is in the vicinity? Because wherever Radharani is, she'll create attractiveness. She'll create attractiveness because Krishna is all attractive because he's always with Radharani. So he gets his attraction from Radharani. So therefore he's all attractive. But he got his all. Krishna's attractive, but he became all attractive because he got his all from Radharani. We say Krishna's all attractive. No, Krishna's attractive. But he became all attractive because Radharani gave him the quality of all. All her love, all her beauty, all her sweetness, all her seva, all her expertise in Kalavati, Radha. So Krishna's attractive. Karshan. We say Sankarshan, Karshan. Krish means Karshan. Krish Anand. Krish, Hari Krish Anand. Yeah, he's attractive. He attracts all the living entities. But all attractive, then Sam means he has to be Sa. Sa means with, Saha. With Radha. Krishna, Saha, Radha becomes Samkarshan. Completely attractive, all attractive. So then he's thinking, oh, I know that wherever Radharani is, everything becomes very attractive. Everything becomes all attractive, like me. I'm all attractive because Radharani's with me in my heart and next to me most of the time. And everything is attracted to Radharani, and everyone's attracted to Radharani. Look at Vrindavan. Is anyone saying, Krishna, 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 or Krishna, Krishna? And Vakativ, you'll say, Krishna, Krishna. Anyone greet anyone, say, good morning, Krishna, Krishna. I've been here 27 years. I never heard once one Brijbasi say good, what they say we say good morning, Krishna, Krishna. But everyone says, Radhe, Radhe. Radhe, Radhe, 1 kilo palak. Radhe, Radhe, 1 kilo save. Radhe, even they say, if someone is angry with you, first they say, Radhe, Radhe, boom. They don't come and say, I'm very angry with you, you did this and that, you cheated me this, that, I'm going to bop your nose. They say, oh, my friend, oh, bye, Radhe, Radhe. Boom. Oh, Radhe, Radhe. Radhe, Radhe, I go to the hospital. So this is the point, that she's the all-attractive. So then Krishna's thinking, where is she? She has a beautiful golden face, like a Swarna Padma. And there's so many Swarna, how will I ever find her? Because she's totally camouflaged by the lotus flowers in Radhakund. So I have to be clever. And then he's looking, oh, there's a whole swarm like a beehive of honeybees in the south, in the northeast corner of Radhakund. And there's a bunch of yellow lotus flowers there. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Golden lotus flowers, Radharani's face. Madhukar is another name for Krishna. Manamanasa Madhukaram Arpaya Nijapada Pankaram. So he says the Madhukar, they attracted to the honey of those lotus flowers. But they're all there. But they're not taking the honey. They're hovering over the flowers. This is something different. They should be landing on the flowers. They come like this and then they go back up. They come like this and they go back up. They try to land on that lotus flower and then they rise again. They come down and they rise because Radharani's saying, shoo, shoo. She's like this under the water and the honeybees are coming down to land on her face to drink the nectar because they think Radharani's face is a sweet nectar-filled lotus, which it is. And then they get nearby and of course no one wants a bee to land on your nose. So she goes, shoo, 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 because she can't move her hands. Shoo. And then they go, woo, woo, woo. And Sham's looking at these honeybees go up and then down. What is this? Then that's it. I found her. I discovered Radharani's hiding place, Luka Luki. So then immediately went there and found Radharani. So these are the pastimes that Das Goswami was meditating on when he externally saw, then he closed his eyes and saw Leela. He took all this udipan, all this natural stimulant and exciting factors of the environment, the birds, the water, the breeze, and the Radhakund, and then he thought, oh, this is the place of Madhyan Leela. Then he recalled all the Leelas, and then he closed his eyes, and then he entered in and saw Leela after Leela. Then that really increased his desire for Seva. It's one thing to meditate on Krishna and his pastimes, but then to think, what's my Seva there? Or what service will I render in a particular pastime? That's the next level. Okay, I'm meditating on his pastime. Well, if I was there and my desired Siddhadeha or Siddha Sarup, then what would my service be, or what am I hankering for? What do I have a taste for? Whom would I like to serve beside, and what service? And then again, you go again to meditate on the same pastime, and then it goes into a deeper level, and then you develop even more hankering and more separation from those pastimes, and you develop more hankering to attain perfection, to be able to render that service that you started meditating on in your remembrance or smaran. One thing you can meditate as an observer, it's being described like this, the pastime, and Radha Krishna's here, and Chitra's dressing her, and Lita Sakhi's taking Radharani's ornaments off, and Rupa Manjari's doing this. And like you're there, like just watching the movie. But then, so you can have some attachment for the movie and some involvement. But if you take it to the next level, oh, I'm also there, and my Guru Sakhi is there, and how will I serve, and what will I do, and then it becomes very, very personal, and that type of application increases your attachment to the pastimes and increases your ability to remember and also your taste to do it. You're a participant. Just like it's the difference between sitting in the bleachers in a stadium watching a cricket match, and you see the guy swing and he misses. And if I was there, I would have hit the ball. I would have hit the ball, a home run or whatever they call it. So then you go down there and say, get out of here. Okay, now throw the ball. So you enter right into it. So how much you'll get attached to that game, and how much you remember that game because you played in it. It's like this, So then this is, and then he's explaining the power of Radhakund. That in other places he confirms, this is in his Brajvilas Stava, that Radhakund actually gives service to Radharani. After he had these sporties, it says that he has written that the desire vine of love for Krishna, even an ignorant and unqualified person, even an ignorant and unqualified person. Does that sound familiar? Anybody can relate to that description? Anybody meet that lakshana? An ignorant and unqualified person. Well, obviously we have no adhikar. Seva adhikara diye koro nijadasi. Everyone we meet, every higher personality we approach, or every guardian or associate of Lord we approach or pray to, we pray for the adhikar for seva. Beginning with Tulsi every morning at 7 o'clock. Seva adhikara diye koro nijadasi. Give me the adhikar to do seva. That's what Krishna sees, that you're interested at some point in your sojourn to perfection, that you want to know God, and then you want to serve God, or you want to love God, because love God means service. Then he sends his emissary, he sends his messenger of seva, his seva messenger. Then someone comes and says, oh, why don't you do some seva? You can help build these Rath Yatra carts. You can help paint these swans on the side of the deck, the flat place, the deck of the cart. You can paint this stencil, cut out like swans. First you paint it blue, and then when that dries, you use a stencil and paint white swans, one after the other. So that way they will engage you in seva. So he's saying that so then you get the adhikar for seva. An ignorant and unqualified person who performs some seva at Radhakund in the form... What does it mean to serve Radhakund? To bathe here, to live there, to see it, to touch it. It will blossom forth and give the fruits of Radha's seva. It says, Abhijana iha kaschit yasya seva prasade pranaya suralata syat tasya goshtendra suno. So that's the desire tree, desire vine of love for Krishna. That's what it's telling. Pranaya suralata. And then Goshtendra Suno means Goshtendra is the name for Krishna. And it says Sapadikila Marisha Dasya Pushpa Prasasya Tarati Surabhi Radhakundam Evashrayo Me. I think maybe you'll recognize this prayer. It's from Radhakundashtakam. Radhakundashtakam by Raghunath Das Goswami. He's saying that Seva Prasad, that person, Abhijana Kaschid, that person who serves Radhakund, takes shelter there, he will get the mercy and get the seva of Radhakund. That's why he says, may the very fragrant and beautiful Radhakund be my only shelter. Oh, I forgot to turn it on. Anyway, I was doing pretty good for a while. Skip that. What's the time? How much time? 4:45. Okay. So now we can start this next text of Vilapa Kusumanjali, 68. That was verse 15. And verse 68 through 81, they describe the Madhyan Lila at Radhakund. And that's why I prefaced it with verse 15, because that's when he first came here. As I mentioned earlier, class, in the year 1510, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami came to Vrindavan, and they were discovering one by one the different holy places. But they couldn't find this Radhakund. Lord Chaitanya came in 1514, and he discovered Radhakund. This is the 500th anniversary this year of Lord Chaitanya's first and only visit to Vrindavan, and of course Radhakund. And later, when Das Goswami came, much later, around 1548 or so, after Lord Chaitanya left this world in Puri in 1548, then Das Goswami came here. I mentioned this the other day. So something like 40 years after, 40 years after, Gauranga Mahaprabhu discovered Radhakund, then Das Goswami came here. Then Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they said, listen, we're going to give you the most special place in Vrindavan for your bhajan place. We're going to give you the place that was unveiled and revealed, not by Rupa or myself, Sanatan, but directly by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He revealed, Prakat, he made it manifest to this world, Radhakund and Shyamakund, by the mercy of Mahaprabhu. So that's why Rupa Goswami glorifies it so much in Upadeshamrita. And Krishnadas Kaviraj glorifies, and Raghunath Das, everyone glorifies, because this is a special gift of Lord Chaitanya. Varsana, all Nandagram, Nidhiban, all these places were basically here, but the significance and the uniqueness of Radhakund was especially unveiled by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Nimbarki Sampradaya came here to Vrindavan 1,000 years ago. They're sadhus and saints and teachers, and they also unveiled so many holy places, many holy places. Because 5,000 years ago, Krishna's great-grandson, Bajranabh, he, under the direction of Sandilya Rishi and Bhagori Muni and Garga Rishi, they knew from Puranas and others, this is the place of Nivartan Kund, this is the place of Radhakund, this is the place of Shyamakund. So he developed them. But then they were just developed, and many became lupta, as Lord Chaitanya says, lupta. Lupta means hidden. And they got filled, and then they got filled with dirt, and they became chickpea fields and rice fields. As the time went on, like we say, the knowledge gets covered by time, and then Krishna has to come and reveal the knowledge again. That's the Gita. So as the knowledge gets covered by time, knowledge of Krishna gets covered by time, so do the Leela Stalis get covered by time. And so they become hidden. And even today they're finding newer, old Leela Stalis under this chickpea field, under this wheat field here and there. In Nandagram and Bars, I think maybe Nandagram, there are 56 different kunds. 56 described in the Shastras, and only 5 or 6 of them are visible. And one by one, there's some devotees, like from Barsana and other places, there's a foundation. They're trying to locate those and then negotiate with the farmer, buy that land, dig up all the chickpeas and gehun, remove all the dirt, and when they do that, they find steps on 4 sides, and it goes down, and there's a beautiful kund there to commemorate the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And no one has seen it in 2,000 years. Amazing, huh? Very ancient stone there, and it's not cement, ancient stone steps. So it's like sitting on a gold mine or something. Once here it happens a few times, someone had a shop and they expanded it, so they had to dig the foundation. And when they dug in the foundation, they found 3 big brass pots, urns, they call them urns. And inside there were gold coins this big gold coins. And the date on it was 1100 or something like that, long ago during Mughal time. So it's about 1,000. So for 1,000 years, that secret treasure was buried in this, right up on this end of the street. And then that person got that, and I don't know what they did with it. But I know a few years ago, just in recent time, this was about 20 years ago here, but down near Govardhan, some farmer was digging up part of his land to make a house or so, and he found 14 huge pots that took 10 men to lift, or a crane, full of gold coins. And the chief minister of UP came by helicopter with police and army and confiscated all that gold. It was so many billions of dollars of gold. 14 huge pots, and they had a picture in the newspaper, local paper, big brass pot. The brass pot is like big, like 2.5 feet wide or so, 3 feet high, and full of these gold coins. And the guy was holding like this. And it all went to the chief minister. Where it is now, who knows? So there's a lot, because what it was different kings would conquer another king, and they want to stash their wealth. So they would come to this jungle and forest of Vrindavan from Rajasthan, especially Rajasthan, from Delhi, from Agra, Mughal kings and Hindu kings, and they would bury their treasure like a dog buries his bones. But then they would get killed in war somewhere, or they would get old and senile, and they had so much wealth all over the place, they forget where their stash was, and would just lie underground for hundreds of years. So that's just wealth of gold coins. So there's also a great wealth in Leela Stalis all over Braj. So we'll discuss this next verse, 68. Ha Rupa this is the same as Brahma Samhita. Ha Rupa Manjri Sakhi Pranayena Devhim Twad Bahu Datta Bhujavalarim Ayatakshim Pascharaham Kalita Kama Taranga Rangam Neshyami Kim Hari Vibhushita Keli Kunjam Kama Taranga Rangam Hari Vibhushita Keli Kunjam. This is very sweet and simple. Ha Rupa Mandri Saki Pranayena Devam. Many verses you hear Raghunath Das is praying to Rupa Mandri because she's the Mukhya Mandri, the chief Mandri. Rati Mandri, Raghunath Das Goswami, his Yuteshwari, all the Mandris have their group leader. His Yuteshwari is Vishaka. He's in her Sakhigan. He's one of her Mandris in her Sakhigan. And Rupa Mandri is in the Sakhigan. His Yuteshwari is Lalita. But Lalita is the leader of all the Sakhis, and Rupa Mandri is the leader of all the Mandris. So oftentimes Raghunath Das Goswami is praying to Rupa Mandri. So he's saying that Dasyano Dasyano Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasyano Dasyano Dasi. I want to be a servant of the servant of the servant. Even up there in the spiritual dimension of Leela, where there's Bhagavan and his servitors. Here there's also Bhagavan and his servitors. Where there's Bhagavan and his servitors, we're in our Sadhaka Rup. And there's Bhagavan and his servitors in their Siddha Sarups, in their spiritual bodies, Siddha Dehas. But Seva goes on, and the recipient of Seva, the Prem Vishaya is Krishna, and the Prem Ashraya is the devotee, and sometimes it reverses, where Krishna becomes the Prem Ashraya, and he directs his loving service to Radharani, then she becomes the Prem Vishaya. So on the level of Prema, sometimes the Alamban changes. The Alamban means the Prema Shraya, the hero and the heroine. So sometimes Radharani becomes the hero. She starts to order Krishna to dress me, then he becomes in Dasya mode, and then she's controlling. So then Radharani is the object of his service and the object of his love. So Krishna becomes the Alamban Prema Shraya, and Radharani becomes the this is in Vibhav, type of ecstasy. And then Radharani becomes the Prem Vishaya. Very nice reversal of roles. Generally, all the servitors of the Lord are Prema Shraya. They are the shelters of love. And Krishna is the object of love. He receives the love of all his servitors. Yashoda, Nanda, Krishna, the Sakhas and gopis like this. Ha Rupa Manjri Sakhi Pranayena Devim. So this he's saying, you may recognize here, what the translation is. Oh, my dear friend, Ha Rupa Mandri Sakhi. Hey, Sakhi Rupa Mandri. Oh, Ha means, oh, Rupa Mandri. When, again, this word here, they're translating the word Kim as when. Oftentimes we see in these Rasa Shastras, Stavamala, Stavavali, etc., Sankalpa Kalpajruma, there's the word Kada or Kabe. Kabe or Kada means when. Kabe habe bolase dinamar aparada guchi shudanama ruchi. Kabe bolo like this. Or nam what's the that's the symptom in Shikshastikam. There's that verse about Bhava. How does it start? Ai Nanda Tandrashikin Kram, the next verse. Ai Nanda Tandrashikin Kram. What's the verse after that? No, that's you're missing one in between. About the symptoms of Bhava. I just slipped my mind. I say it every day. It's Namakari Bhava. No, that's Naya. Nayanam. The eyes. Nayanam galadashadarya varanam. Varanam gadgada rudyagira. Pulakar nichitam papu kada. Right? He says that in the third line, the last word is kada. Kada or kabe. Right? You know that. Nayanam galadashadarya varanam gadgada rudyagira. Pulakar nichitam vapu kada. Tava nama grahane bhavishyati. Yes? Actually, don't mind. Please don't mind. But we should recite this verse every day before we chant japa and meditate on the meaning. This is the instruction of Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the devotees, when they live in the temple, they kind of do that by the institutional schedule. But many grihastas and others, of course, they have their own arrangement at home. So they maybe cut corners here and there. But this corner we shouldn't cut. This is a very important prayer. It's so important that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj says that if you recite this prayer every day and meditate deeply on it, the prayer itself, because it's the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, the Kripa of Lord Chaitanya is in the Shikshastakam. Because they say, oh Guruji, give me your mercy, give me your mercy. So how do you get the mercy? The mercy is in the instruction. What does it mean? Oh Sadhu Baba, give me mercy. Mercy means shiksha. He says, yes, you really want my mercy? Yes. Okay, you're nonsense. You haven't gotten up at 4 o'clock in the morning in 25 years. You're a nonsense. Am I right? Yes. So now you start getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is my mercy. This is my shiksha. Get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and chant until 7 o'clock. And then do whatever you want to do. So then if you follow that shiksha, then what will happen? You will experience the kripa of the sadhu. So the kripa, the mercy of the sadhu is in the, what's the conclusion? The mercy of the sadhu is in the shiksha, thank you, instruction. She said in English. So where do you get the mercy? How do you get the mercy of the sadhu? It's a quiz. How do you get the mercy of the sadhu? He gives you an instruction to do seva. And you do seva, and when you do the seva, then you'll realize the mercy and perceive and see the mercy. Like Prabhupada said, members of the Krishna consciousness movement should rise every day at 4 o'clock. So that's a phrase in the Nectar of Instruction, purport. Members of the Krishna consciousness movement should rise every day at 4 o'clock. Now there's another phrase that says, wherever anyone's chanting Hare Krishna, this is ISKCON, or the Krishna conscious movement. So many people like to cite that. They live here and there, and they do this and that, and they don't live in a temple or any formal institution. But they say, no, Prabhupada said, wherever someone's chanting Hare Krishna, this is ISKCON. So I'm also in ISKCON. Okay, that's fine. So you're accepting this order of Prabhupada. So now that you're in ISKCON, then you should also follow this order. The members of ISKCON should rise at 4 o'clock. So that's called checkmate in chess. You're stuck. Because on one side you want to take advantage of Prabhupada's quote. Where anyone is chanting Hare Krishna, this is ISKCON. So they say, okay, fine. Yeah, you're just lying in your bed and you never go to the temple, but you're ISKCON because you're chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, fine. But so do you think you're ISKCON? Yeah, what do you mean? I'm also ISKCON. I'm a Greater ISKCON, like in LA they call it Greater ISKCON. Like there's the devotees that go to the temple program and devotees that haven't been there in 100 years. But you ask them, are you in ISKCON? Yes, but I never seen you in the temple in 129 years. No, I'm in Greater ISKCON. Like you have Noida and Greater Noida. Noida and Greater Noida. Or like, Okla Part 1 and Okla Part 2 or whatever. So, anyway, that's a side point. So he's saying, this word kim is also translated as when, as in that prayer in the Shikshastakam, Lord Chaitanya is saying, when, kada, when will I experience bhav? Because this phrase, nayanam galadashidar, that's describing bhava bhakti. And then the previous verse before that, it's the fifth number, is Ai Nanda Tana Shikintkaram. That's asakti. Asakti means tight, cemented, stuck, attached. Asakti. Tightly attached to what? To Krishna's lotus feet. You can't remove that attachment. Super glue attachment. Super glue. Ai Nanda Tana Shikintkaram Patidamma Mishameva. I have no attachment. I'm unattached. I'm a ship without a rudder floating in a bhavasagar, in an ocean of material existence. Ai Nanda Tana Shikintkaram Patitamam Vishame Bhavambudu Ambudi. Ambudi means ocean. It's an ocean of sense gratification. I'm floating here, I'm floating there. I have no anchor, I have no harbor, I have no safe harbor, I have no safe shelter, I have no anchor. I'm just floating. I don't have a pilot, I don't have a rudder. My boat's going this way and goes around like this, and it goes that way, and the wind blows it that way. I'm just here, hither and thither in the ocean of sense gratification. Vishai Sagar. Catch me, oh Nanda Nanda, catch me. Hold me tightly and cement me to your lotus feet. Stita duli sadrisham vichintya. Stita duli sadrisham vichintya. Stita duli. Stita, fix me on your lotus feet. That's a sakti. And what's before that? Nadanam najanam nasundaram. That's ruchi. How can you have ruchi if you want money? I have money. I want money, enjoyment. I want man, woman, this, that. Pratishta, honor, worship, puja, love. So he gets to this point. He says, "Oh, Nanda Nandan, you've accepted me. I'm attached to you, and you're attached to me, and I don't want anything else. But still, I'm not experiencing any ecstasies. There's no nayanam gadadashtajaryu. There's no my nayana. There's no tears of love there, and there's not even one. I haven't even experienced one or two symptoms of divine love, of bhava. A little alligator tear, or a little trembling, or one hair on my head stood up for 1 second after 39 years. After 39 years of chanting Hare Krishna, one hair on my arm went like this. Romanchakam Pasutranga Bhajo. One hair, wow, I'm in bhava. Prabhu, check it out. Wow, there's one, but you have like one lack of hair all over your body. And you got one stood up. No, but it's a good sign, no? I'm going in the right direction. So it doesn't come easy. And Rupa Goswami says it's sudurlava. The lakshana of bhava is sudurlava. It's very, very rare, bhava bhakti. It's not a joke. So Lord Chaitanya is saying, because it's so rare, when? So here he's saying, Kim, O Rupa Mantri, when will I walk behind you? When you lovingly take wide-eyed goddess Radhika, who is moved by waves of desire, to the play grove that is decorated by the hands of Hari. And while you're walking along with Radharani on the footpath, Radharani will be holding her vine-like arm with yours. Like sometimes you see an elderly person, they have their grandson or their granddaughter, they'll say, oh, help me, and they'll put their arm around them. They'll walk side by side and put their arm, interlock arms and for support in the case of an old man and young grandson. So here, Rupa Mantri, she's Sri Rup. She's the very form of Radharani's love. So she has such a wonderful seva. This is what we call, this is one of the 16 sevas. That's why I precluded this class or introduced this class by describing the 16 sevas of the Mandri Sakhi Mandris, because when you read the different verses, you'll say, oh, this is Abhisara Seva. Abhisara Seva is one of the, it was the first letter in our alphabetical list, arranging for the divine couple to meet. So that's called love journey, bringing Radharani to Krishna, rarely, but bringing Krishna Radharani. That's also there. Like this, generally bringing Radharani. Generally the Nayaka is being brought to the Nayak. That's called Abhisara, love journey. But in Krishna Leela, sometimes Radharani's waiting and Krishna goes to meet her. So here's an example of Rupa Manjari doing the Abhisara Seva, which she's a Manjari. Of course, she's a Manjari. There's Nitya Manjari and Pran Manjari. She's Pran Manjari, Pran Sakhi, very intimate a servant of Radharani, Sri Rup. But by chance, because we're Rupanuga Dara, we're Rupanugas, we're following Rupa Manjari, so one day she may say, oh, and she may say, you come, you do this service. So then you'll be doing this Abhisara Seva. Radharani may be holding your arm and walking to Radhakund. This is possible. In the kingdom of love, this is possible. When can I... So now, in front of me, I'm walking behind... Rati Mandri, Tulsi Mandri, Das Goswami is walking behind Rupa Mandri in Parampara, right? There's Lalita, Rupa, then Rati, Tulsi. He's walking behind. In front of him is Radharani on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side in front of him is Rupa Mandri. Rupa Mandri is walking with her right arm around Radharani. Like they're locked arms in arms like this. It's a Sakhi Bhav. It's Sakhi Bhav. The love of a girl, one girl for the other. But that's the expression, that's the sanchari. They're expressing Sakhi Bhav, sisterly love, like sisters. But the rati, the permanent heart position of Rupa Manjari and Radharani is Madhura Rati, because they're both connected to Krishna and the intimate service of Radha and Krishna's yugal pastimes. So that's their sthai rati. But this sanchari that's arising, and this sanchari means coming, moving, chari, chara, chara. This sanchari, it flows together, sanchari, it flows together and right alongside of, that's what it means. It means moving alongside of their permanent loving emotion, which is sthai rati. So now it's like, oh, she's my big sister. My big sister is taking help from the little sister. Radharani's 14 years, and Rupa Manjari's 13. So she's the little sister. That 1 year means a lot. It means a whole lot over there. Even here, someone says, how old are you? I'm 5.5. And he'll say, I'm 5.5. That half means a lot. And little kids will say, I'm 5.5 years old. Acha. And then his sister, you ask, how old is your sister? I am 4 years old and 2 months. I'm almost getting close to him. Like this. So the little sister is being favored by the big sister. Very sweet. It's a very sweet darshan here. So this verse itself is so much bhavas are there. So that's what Tulsi Manjari is seeing. He's walking behind and seeing. And he's saying, oh, when will I walk behind you? And then wide-eyed Radharani, so ayatakshim, her eyes are wide because she's excited. When you're excited, your eyes are like full of anticipation. Oh, where am I going? And when Prabhupada used to preach, he got so excited, his eyes would go so big. You see his eyes sometimes, he's preaching and gets so excited. So these different descriptions, ayatakshim, these are the anubhavas. In other words, Radharani's Madhura Rati, her conjugal mood of love, is now in a very exhilarated, excited position, degree, because now she's going to meet the lover. So now the sthai rati is stimulated. The vibhav is there, the lover and beloved, and the udipan, they're walking Abhisara, and the sthai rati. Now anubhavas are different physical expressions indicating the arise in emotions in the heart. So one is eyes. Ayata akshi means, so these are all the alankars or elements that compose rasa. So that's why these are called rasa shastras, because the verbs, the descriptions of Krishna and Radha and the gopis, how they're dressed, how their faces are moving, hands, it indicates the position and movements of their heart in context of their madhura rati, their conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. So, and when one has some idea of those anubhavas, 13 anubhavas and vyavachari bhavas, then that's happening because of this, and then because you can relish to some extent according to the level of your knowledge, and then it's one level of relishing is to actually know what's going on and know why is she wide-eyed? Why isn't she just walking like this? And then you can understand that, and then if you go higher in a level of spiritual advancement, if you're actually a bhava bhakti or praying bhakti, then your own eyes are open wide, And you're actually also feeling in the heart what Radharani's feeling, that excitement to meet Krishna, because it's reflected in the hearts of the Sakhis and Manjaris. So this is, so they're going to the play grove that's decorated by Hari, and she holds her vine-like arm with your arm. So in this verse we have many things. One is the description of the sentiments and different bhavas in Radharani, and the characters and players in the drama. Rati Mantri's there, Rupa Mantri's there, Radharani. Then Krishna, he's not actively there visibly in this particular scene, but there's some mention of him. Oh, he's already, where they're going is they're going to meet Krishna. And where he is, he's waiting in the kunja. He's in the Keli kunja. And he's also doing something there. So we get an indication. It says, Hari Vibhushita Keli Kunjam. The Keli Kunja, that pastime forest, or that grove, that forest grove, or that love grove, sometimes they say love grove, that has been Vibhushita, like Bhushanam, it has been decorated and ornamented by the personal hands of Krishna. So Krishna is not only the Sevya Bhagavan. We say Sevya Bhagavan and Sevak. The Sevak is the devotee, and the Sevya is the recipient of service. So Sevya Bhagavan and Sevak. Sometimes they say Sevak Bhagavan, because great devotees of the Lord are called Bhagavan, like Bhagavan Narad, and Bhagavan Shiv, and etc. They're all devotees. But that's why they say Swayam Bhagavan. When you read Bhagavatam, in the first canto, chapter 3, verse 28, it says Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, there. So then that verse, first canto, chapter 3, verse 28, says Swayam Bhagavan, to distinguish Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from Bhagavan Indra or Bhagavan Narad, etc. Or even we have sometimes in this world, we have our Bhagavans. We have our Bhagavans. There was Bhagavan Rajneesh, you heard? So many Bhagavans come and go. But Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, he's eternally existing. Never was a time when he did not exist, nor in the future shall he ever cease to be. Natvevaham chatu nasham, natvam mejadanipa, says in Gita. So this is quite significant that he is Krishna himself. He's decorated. So the point I'm making, he's the Sevya Bhagavan. But here, in the level of Braja Bhav and Braja Ras and Nara Leela, he becomes this Sevak Bhagavan. He's serving. Who is he serving? He's serving Bhagavati Radha. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Bhagavati Radha. So here, in this verse, it's indicated that the Sevya Bhagavan, the one who received, the recipient of service, Sevya, now he's become Sevak Bhagavan, and with his own hands, he's decorating the kunja of his beloved Radharani as a service for her. Generally, everyone's making garlands to give to Krishna, because they're sevaks, and that's their seva. But Krishna also picks flowers and makes a garland to serve to Radharani. This is the kingdom of love. There's no high or low. In fact, ordinarily the one who would think they were lower thinks they're higher. The coward boys think, you're not big anything. You're supposed to be big Bhagavan or whatever people say. I don't know. I am stronger than you. I defeated you so many times in wrestling. The coward boys don't think that we're equal to Krishna. They think we're stronger than Krishna. He's so many times Krishna carries me on his back because I defeat him. I defeat him in arm wrestling. I defeat him in racing. I defeat him in sports. And we throw amalaki fruits in the air, then we hit them, and he strikes out all the time, and I hit a home run. So then he has to carry me on his shoulders. So they play all these games. So now the description here in this, maybe we can continue this tomorrow, I guess, because he has some Chaitanya Charitamrita class. But there's a small little leela behind the verse, obviously. We're just getting a section of it. We just see that it's kind of a frozen moment in a movie. You see a picture. There's Radharani's on the right, and on her left is Rupa Manjari, and behind is Tulsi Manjari. And then Then there's a little inset picture of Krishna in the Keli Kunj, and he's stringing flower garlands, because across the entrance of the kunja they hang flower garlands. Like sometimes people have in their apartments, they have rooms, different rooms, and to divide the rooms, rather than having a formal door, they have some beads hanging down from the door is like this, no? The doorway. So they have some beads hanging down like this, or some, and you push like this and you go through. It's like a type of curtain. It can just be a string of beads or pearls or whatever. A design I've seen in some people's houses. So in the kunjas, the entrance doors, sometimes they're formal doors like bamboo, crisscross bamboo full of flowers, because it's a forest. It's not some stone structure like a palace in Nandagram. Or sometimes they just have garlands. So Krishna's stringing garlands and he's hanging them at the entrance door, one by one. So when Radharani comes, it's a very fragrant entrance. The whole entrance door is made of fragrant flowers like mogra or like this, jasmine. So that Krishna is busy doing it. Radharani will really like this. When she comes, she'll say, what a beautiful front door. What a beautiful front door you made for the kunja. And of course it changes every day. So this is, the Leela is described like this. It's summertime, and he was, this is how it's described here, because they're bringing the Nitya Leela into the context of Das Goswami's bhajan in his sadhaka roop. So Shyam was very eager to meet Swamini, Radha. So he sent a messenger. So the messenger can be a duti, D-U-T-I, duti, can be a saki, or even a saka sometimes, Priyanarma saka. But in this case, he used the messenger, he called one girl. And she's a very, very expert messenger. She's a tantrini, she's a magician, she's a tantrini, she's a yogini. She has so many powers. She can do the impossible. She has one power called Gattana, Agatana, Patiyasi Shakti. Gattana, Agatana, Patiyasi Shakti. She has the power to make the possible impossible and the impossible possible. She's very powerful. So she's a yogini, a tantrini, and all these things. What's her name? Her name is Murali. Her name is Murali. Sometimes she's called Muralika. This is a feminine name. And she's Krishna's most intimate Saki messenger. You understand what I'm saying? This is the Murali. And when she gets kissed by Krishna's lips, she gets really excited and really propelled. And she can go a long way on that energy. So when Krishna plays the flute, she has so much power she can travel for kilometers. She can fly in the sky. She feels so thrilled by the touch of Krishna's lips. And this is what happens when lovers unite. They get so thrilled they can fly in the sky. So Krishna plays his Murali, and the Murali gets so excited, and Krishna plays the Murali, and she gets excited, and he conveys a message. Bring Radha to the trysting bower. Bring Radha to the Keli Kunj. Now. Abhikaro. Do it now. So then Radharani hears Lalita, Rupa, did you hear that? Shyama's calling me to Radhakund. Let's go. So then he sends a messenger in the form of his Murli Vadan, the song of his flute. And when Premamayi Radhika hears that sound, she becomes impatient and forgets all other considerations. Although the footpath, the Brajaraj, is, because it's summertime, it's very, very hot. And it's noontime because she's coming here for the Madhyan Leelas, and the sun is at its topmost position and its hottest position at noon. But Radharani, because of her exalted state of excitement, Utkantita bhav, eagerness and hankering, she thought she felt under her feet that all that hot sand was as soft as butter. She was so determined, and as she was walking quickly along that footpath, she was chanting, Hari, 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 Hari. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And Gauranga Mahaprabhu would wander through the sandy plains of South India, along the beaches of South India and all the sandy areas there. He was always chanting, Hari, 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 because he's remembering Radharani and separation from Krishna. So here Radharani, Sakshat Radharani is in Vrindavan, separated from Krishna, going on Abhisara to meet him. And she's chanting, Hari, Hari, Hari. No one, it says here that prema, the course of prema can never be obstructed. In other words, love breaks all obstacles, love breaks all barriers, love breaks all boundaries, and love breaks all walls. Rasavati Rai breaks herself out of the binding ropes of her superior's suspicious glances and forgets all about her husband's home and other obstacles. She's floating on waves, waves of love, holding Rupa Mandri's arm, and Tulsi Mandri is anxiously walking behind her, watching Radharani stumbling. She's actually stumbling along the path. She's so excited and so eager to go and meet Krishna. But Rati Mandri, Tulsi Mandri is very attentive, because this is, why is she walking behind there? Because Rupa Mandri is offering the support of her arm. Because Radharani knew that she would be tottering. When you see Jagannath comes out of the temple, it's called a Bahandi Utsav. Bahandi Utsav means the ceremony of Jagannath boarding the cart. They take him out and they have silk ropes around his under his arms, and all these big pandas, they carry him, and Jagannath is going from side to side like this, if anyone's ever, he's rocking. And then they have, on the bottom of the deity, they used to have big pillows in Lord Chaitanya's times called tuli. Be one big pillow here, and one big pillow here, filled with cotton threads from one silk cotton tree. Natural kind of fluffy goose down type of thing, like sleeping bags. Fluffy cotton. It's a pod, there's like a seed pod, and the seeds have little fluffy things on them, carry them here and there. And you open up the pods, and you put it inside and make a tuli, like a pillow. So they would carry Lord Jagannath, pick him up, oh, Jagannath, oh, and carry him, and then they pick him, and then they put him on this pillow. When they put him down, boom! It would crack, because the weight of Jagannath was so great, it was like sitting on a balloon. Imagine, you're pretty big, and your little brother blows up a balloon and you sit on it. I used to do that in school sometimes, put a balloon under the teacher's cushion. That was a fun pastime in America. You blow up a little balloon and you put it on, she have a little wooden chair, and she used to go, but when it would sound like something else. Everybody would laugh, and she would be so embarrassed. And then she'd pick up her pillow and hold up this balloon, say, who's done this? And everyone would say, I don't know. So Jagannath would hit this pillow and explode, and all the cotton would go. That was in Lord Chaitanya's time. It's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But nowadays, when you go, you see Lord Jagannath, the bottom of the deity, like the feet of Jagannath. Jagannath deity is like this, and then here for about a foot, they wrap red cloth, like red gumshoes. It looks like it's like socks or something. So the deity, it's extended. The deity ends here, but then this border, this extra, goes down about 2 feet, and they just set Jagannath on that. It's like shoes, you could say, or footing. They don't use those pillows. But when he's coming, he's going like this, rocking back and forth. And when he goes up to there's a ramp going up to the Jagannath cart from the road. So he's going up, he's going like this. Sometimes he goes back. He's going like this, like that, because he's intoxicated, and it's called tottering. Like someone's drunk, they're tottering it's called tottering from side to side, because he's totally intoxicated with utkantita bhav, the excitement of going to Sundarachala. He's living in Nilachala, Kurukshetra, the Sri Mandir, and he's going to Sundarachala, means the golden mountain. The golden mountain is Radharani. And that represents Vrindavan. Gundicha, that's the queen. queen's name, Indraduna's queen. But Gundicha is called Sundarachal. It's the golden mountain of love. So Krishna's Jagannath Swami, Vrajendranandan, Shamsundar, he's going there. So he's tottering. So Krishna going to Radharani is tottering. So now in this particular verse, in this verse 68 from Vilapa Kusumanjali, it's described that Radharani is tottering from side to side on her Abhisara going to the Kalikunj at Radhakund to meet Shamsundar. So she's intoxicated with love. It's called Prem Unmad. Prem Unmad. Prem means divine love, spiritual love, love divine. And Unmad, Mata means mad. And Uttam means very, very mad. Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. Uttam means the topmost degree, the topmost pitch of madness. And madness is a type of intoxication. You forget who you are, what you are, where you came from, and what you're supposed to do. You're mad. So Uttam and Mada becomes Unmad. So Prem Unmad. She was totally mad in love. And she's tottering side to side, so she took support from the arm of Rupa Mandri. Rupa Mandri's right arm was in Radharani's left arm. That's not enough. Tulsi Mandri's walking behind. She's not just walking along, oh, it's a nice day, go for a walk. No, and moment to moment, whenever the Sakhis, Mandris are moving with Radharani, or moving, moment to moment, step to step, thought to thought, word to word, is for Seva. They are made of Seva, head to toe, 100% Seva. So she's walking behind. So at that moment, what is Tulsi Mandri's Seva? To serve Radharani in this precarious position of Prem Unmad on her Abhisar going to meet Krishna. Her Seva, Rati Mandri's Seva, is to, in case, if Radharani is tottering side to side, then Rupa Mandri is there to support her and hold her upright. But what if she wheels backwards, whoa, like this, oh Sham, Hari, Hari, and goes back like that? Because Rupa Mandri is on the side. What if she falls back? It's like, you're doing Sriya Namaskar and you lose your balance. Oh, you go back. So she's in ecstasy. So then right behind Swamini Radha is Tulsi Mandri, Rati Mandri, who's serving her Rati, her intimate loving attachment for Krishna. She's the most intimate service at that Seva time. Seva Kal, Rati Kal, Rati Leela. So Rati Mandri, Tulsi Mandri. Tulsi, incomparable, Tulsi. So she's there, she's like this, so she's so much alert and attentive, and as Radharani. So this is the position we find ourselves in this verse 68. That when will I walk behind my Rupa Mandri? When will I walk behind you? And Swamini Radha when she goes out for Abhisar. And we'll discuss more of that tomorrow. But the whole vision of it, the whole scene of it, the whole meditation on it is so rewarding. That's why many gurus and acharyas, they say, Vilapa Kusumanjali is your A to Z of Raganuga Bhakti. A to Z, encyclopedia, dictionary, whatever you want. Wikipedia, ask Google, whatever, everything all put together, unabridged Oxford Dictionary. It's all on Vilapa Kusumanjali for the Raganuga Bhakta. Everything is there. So therefore, that's the theme of these classes. Someone asked me, will we give class in Purushottam, which is next year, there's Adhikamas next year. I said, let's see, I don't know. Krishna wants. So we have a new story now.